Good evening and welcome to Martini's Eco and Country Bites. Tonight we're having a bit of a one-off interview here just because our segment is normally on Thursdays, but tonight we are here with a wonderful individual from Tasmania that I'm going to be bringing onto the stage now. And his name is Cush Allison, and he's from Tasmania. Cush, welcome to Edge Radio Australia and Martini's Eco and Country Bites.
How you going, Martine?
Can you hear me? Yeah, good.
Yep.
Well, I know that we've had some lovely conversations about some of the wonderful unity that's being shown. I think it's a real in a leadership role, to be honest, because I think we're needing more unity in Australia, and the fact that it's unity in community, and that started off last year. Perhaps you can give people a bit of background about yourself, Kush, and what you've been doing not only in Tasmania but previously, perhaps, and what we're looking at this Saturday, which is the 26th. You've got an event going, and we're here to share this with many, many people around Australia about what's happening.
I'll just lead in with Saturday on the 26th of April. We're holding a Unity and Community information gathering to save our bass, and that means Bass Strait, which is currently got fish farms and wind farms, and also the oil and gas wells are sort of been decommissioned. So there's a lot happening in Bass Strait. I don't think the country knows a lot about it, but yeah, we're going to that. A little bit about myself. Well, I got elected in 2018 as a councillor in the Trobe Council. I live at Port Sorell in Tasmania, beautiful spot that also has salmon farms proposed in it. And I ended up standing down, but I didn't resign in June 22. And I finished my term but didn't re-stand. The reasons I stood down was because of much experience and witnessing of fraudulent deceptive behaviour, toxic culture, and very much direct and indirect discrimination.
Wow, that's not what we really need from a councils, right? This is, yeah. Sorry, that cut out there.
No, that's right. And the voice, the community's voice has been shut down everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. And the community voice is getting shut down everywhere, but even with councillors that sort of ask questions like myself and a number of others, there's plenty around Australia and there's plenty around Tasmania, we get shut down just for asking simple questions on financials or, projects. And that's sort of where my life has led to in the last few years. So where I'm going is sort of, I'm a big questioner of councils, but also with what's happening in northern Tasmania with the wind farms and the salmon farms. I'm partly involved with a lot of people that have been asking questions about those things, and we've got a minister that won't even come up to the coast. I'm hoping he arrives on Saturday. He'll be getting an invite tomorrow morning, and we'll see where that ends up. The Premier and the Planning Minister are both members of Braddon, which is the electorate we're in. And we're trying not to make this gathering, there's obviously politics involved, but it's all about putting factual information out without hysteria and giving both sides of the argument or whatever, the debate, a voice. And we want to speak the truth. And, without truth, there is no other value. And if everyone comes to the forum to the gathering with a mind of that, we should know what's going on sooner than later.
Well, definitely the things you've just discussed there, Kush, issues that are echoed all across Australia regarding issues with accountability from council and transparency. I mean, transparency all the way from state and federal government. There's lack of transparency. That's the one thing that people are screaming out for these days, is that we need transparency and disclosure about really where vested interest is, where foreign entities are investing, and our policies and the way that things are going is that, as you've said, they're not representing community and the people of Australia. And that's where we really need to hold them accountable, as you said.
It's about people being accountable and taking
Mm.
responsibility for their actions too, and that's just gone away from society with anyone with with an authority mind. Like they just hide everything and shut you down.
So maybe you can give us a bit of an idea with the offshore wind. Now, I wasn't able to screen grab, unfortunately, a map for that. My apologies. But I'm going to bring up a couple of images here, which are about the licensing areas. So we've got in the red, it's oil and gas rigs licenses. Is that correct? And then in the grey, we're
Yeah,
looking at parks.
I think the red is, and I should have looked at the map myself beforehand. The red is
Mm.
the oil and gas, I think, but the wind
Yes, I'm pretty
farms
sure it is.
even go they go even further than that, and then the whole tip of from the northeastern tip to the northwestern tip, salmon farms are proposed on all the beaches and the foreshore there, up to I think 12 kilometres offshore, and in the Port Royal estuary, which is my hometown, and the public don't really know all about that. So with the wind farms, there's over 5,000 due to capacity of what they're proposing out there. There's over 5,000 wind towers proposed for Bass Strait. There's well over
Wow.
20 oil and gas rigs. I think the number is 28 of over the next period, and others that have already shut in the last few years, decommissioning. And then you link that up with the salmon farms. It's not a Bass Strait's a very shallow stretch of water. It's one of the roughest stretches of water in the world.
Mm.
It's also the most expensive stretch of water in the world to get freight from Melbourne to Tasmania. And
Yeah.
it's a bit of a political football, but because of the population of Tassie, and we get roughshod a little bit down here, and we're always on the tit of the mainland in a way through the GST. That's what people say, but
Mm.
you know, we could be a lot more self-sufficient with a better managed governance
So talking
and economy.
So talking about the event that's coming up on Saturday,
You go.
you're talking about the salmon farms as well as the offshore wind proposal. That's an enormous amount of offshore wind turbines. As most people will know that I'm the campaign coordinator in Western Australia for Save Our Beloved Geograph Bay, and we are aligned to many groups throughout Western Australia. We've united in coming forward and pushing back as a collaborative as well. So we're very much in the same mind where we're stronger in unity, and that's very much what we've been able to do, especially against net zero in WA, because net zero is the driving push for this green renewables agenda. And it's not so much that anyone's against real renewables, it's just that the kind of renewables that they're trying to implement are incredibly destructive and insanely expensive. And that the impact on the environment is absolutely catastrophic in some areas. So this is a map that I think we'll go to this one first. Oops. So we've got this map here. So this is a map that I think will give a fairly good idea of the distribution of migratory birds, because that's one of the things that is a big issue with offshore wind turbines.
So with these maps, by the way, have been supplied by Eric Waller, who is a specialist in birds in Tasmania. And where the diversity goes is into Robbins Island, which 1.2 gigawatt of windmills have just been federally approved to go on to Robbins Island, which is one of the most bird migrative areas in the world, but also it's a fish breeding area in between the channel, which they intend to fill in as well. There's others that can talk more on Robbins Island. But you mentioned before about Tassie and about your net zero over in Western Australia and various things. Tassie's been 100% renewable energy for a long time. And since EMO, the Australian Energy Market Operator, started in 2009, our power bills have gone through the roof. Yeah. And we produce twice as much latent energy from just hydro as what we use. So it's all getting exported through a cable to Victoria. And then we buy that back at whatever the National Energy Regulator decides the price is that day. And so Tasmania, I think, I haven't been queried when I've quoted these in public, but it's about 1,300 megawatt per hour we use. And there's about 4 companies that use the majority of that. Only 19% of households use that power. And we produce about 2,600 from hydro, plus another 600 from other sources, which includes a bit of some natural gas and also a little bit of coal, where a couple of the main factories, Gly Cement and Northco Scourge, down the paper manufacturing, still use a bit of coal, but the rest of it is on hydro. And here we are with our power bills going through the roof and all about renewable. Well, Tassie's got it. We don't need any more. What we should be doing is introducing companies that want to utilise our green energy and get the economy happening here in Tassie, rather than getting internationally owned and operated and no jobs created in Tasmania, and nothing for our economy.
You nailed it, Cush, because what we're seeing is that all this money is going completely offshore. It's all foreign-owned corporations. It puts nothing back into the communities as far as sustainable long-term commitment to enhancing the culture and the communities that exist. And this is the issue, is that they're coming in and superimposing a whole different culture over the top of what already exists. And this has been the massive pushback, not only because of the long-term impact on the environment and the lack of consultation, it seems to be. What was the consultation process there? I mean, just to hear that you guys are having to buy back your green, that honestly it is the greenest energy. We know that your hydro system down there is like pretty much second to none, apart from a couple of other places in the world. So to think that you're buying that back is absurd beyond words. And this is where this insanity has to stop. It needs to come back to very grassroots, logical, common sense approach. And this is not what's happening at all, is it?
No, and it's the same with all centralisation. There's other things that are made in Tasmania and they go across the strait and then get freighted back because of the centralised approach, and the power is just one of them. But where we go with Tasmania's hydro, when that was all built, it created lots of jobs, created communities. They built townships, they built pubs, they built news agencies in these towns. Now everything's fly out. There's nothing for the West Coast mining industry now. I think there's about 4,500 people on the West Coast. One town used to have 17 pubs in the main street in its heyday. And this is how we're all getting overridden on this job basis. Well, the jobs are a furphy. They're not there, and they won't be there at the end. And that's the main thing with wind energy. I think it's about, for every 3 mills, it might be one job once they're operating. And the government sales pitch, and back to the consultation. So last week there was consultation on the transmission lines. We're getting transmission lines going through prime forest here in Tasmania, and that's to extend the voltage levels up to the capabilities of running from the pumped hydro and then via Robbins Island. So it's pretty bad. But these drop-in sessions they do a one-on-one. They get the people that know think it's real important that they've had a one-on-one with the bureaucrat. We had a drop-in for the wind farms here. A heap of federal bureaucrats come over in November. When was it? November year before, November 23. I went, and in the end they wanted to get rid of me and another bloke. I'm not an agitator. I'm just a question asker, and I had questions for them. There was 10 bureaucrats from Canberra there that didn't know what Tasmania was about. They didn't know anything. And that's when I said, the question I had then was, it was 28 gigawatt being proposed in Bass Strait, but then throw in the Robbins Islands, Whaleback and other projects are in Tassie. There's about 32 gigawatt being, I think it's narrowed down now, but at the time being proposed. Well, Australia only uses 32 gigawatt an hour, So we're getting proposed here that. You've got it over in Western Australia. There's another one at Port Stephens. There's another 3 around Australia, all with that same amount of productive use that they're proposing to export the power over the world. It's got nothing to do with Western Australia or Tasmania and our needs. Nothing at all.
I think that your story echoes just a different version of exactly what's happened at Port Stephens and Mile Coast. You know, what's happened at Gippsland, what's happened down at Warrnambool, what's happened in Kalbarri even. The same one-to-one was told to the community at Kalbarri would keep Kalbarri beautiful. The community there that are pushing back against the Green Hub, which goes against everything that the community is standing for as far as tourism and a beautiful local community that's based on fishing industry, especially the rock lobster industry. And of course, the impact on that for them is going to be immense. And the fact that their town will be completely taken over by construction crew, there's not even enough places for these people to stay or live. There's no potable water on location. They can't even get water on location to even start construction. So there is so much here that is absolute pipe dream, that it's conceptual, and the fact that we've got bureaucrats basing this off modelling and not any logical but serious based ecological impact. And there's one thing that in one of your things that you sent through. So this is where it's hit me the most, is because I come from sort of a marine science background, which is why I'm so incredibly passionate about saving not Geograph Bay and the West Coast, but worldwide. Because once we lose marine habitats, particularly ones that are super fragile, most are, because they're very dynamic, but for the limestone reef system that has not really been monitored and researched the way that it should. Here in this, where you're talking about the migratory birds, precautionary principle. When I saw this word, I'm like, this is a person that speaks the same language as me and everyone else. I know that Stephen Nowakowski, who's also talking on Saturday, he comes from that very same philosophy, that it's like when it comes to good strategies on habitat protection and biodiversity protection, that we use precautionary principle, and that we need to roll things out in a very slow strategic, methodical way with grassroots people that are the experts. And that's the thing, is that the grassroots people that are the local experts from those areas have been completely disregarded in every single instance, including the Southern Marine Park near Esperance and across the Nullarbor. Then we've got Save the Nullarbor. It's like, at the moment, it's like definitely the Labor government has the most united front of different groups that are standing strong together. What else would you like to share so that people may want to tune in? We're going to be able to share that link when it's ready to go for your live, so everyone around Australia can tune into that. Cush, what would you like to share that you're hoping to achieve by uniting all of these people across Australia on Saturday?
Well, I hope to achieve a lot of unity here in Tassie to get the word out. There's a lot of people out there. I was talking to a lady with the salmon farm group yesterday, and she was in a cafe at somewhere on the weekend, and there was 5 people in there and no one knew what was going on with the salmon. We've had 6,000 tonne wash up on the beaches in Hobart. 7% of the whole salmon produced market has just died, and there's more happening. There'd be lucky to be a restaurant left in Tassie selling farm Tasmanian salmon. And then we get on to the windmills, and everyone just thinks they're going to be windmills and they're all green. The renewable energy zones that are proposed for Tasmania, which again goes back to consultation. We were at an event at UTAS in Burnie, which is the university in Burnie sub-branch, and they tried to, 100 of us turned up and the room only held 45, so they tried to stop it and everything like that. They said we were too vocal. We weren't. The room had 100 people in that could do anything for Tasmania. There was, academics, engineers, laymen, everyone. The ideas could have come out, and then now the minister won't meet with us publicly because they went back and, well, they told a bullshit story that we were too rowdy, and the ABC reported on it all, and various things, country out. And that consultation now has led to why we're trying to do this on the weekend, is to inform the community with some facts and what is really happening out there in Bass Strait, and also on the land with the wind, which is connected to the Marinus link, which with that Marinus link that's proposed, which is a Liberal Party proposal, they blame Labor for the windmills, but without the windmills, the Marinus don't work. And it's all just billions and billions and billions of dollars wasted, and on top of that, subsidised by our government.
Subsidised by hardworking Australians that pay hand over fist in taxes on income and every single thing that they purchase or do in this nation. And this is where I think that this unity and coming together is a force to be reckoned with. And I think that when you come at things with good science background and a solid foundation of data, and you know what you're speaking about, you have to have mainstream media or places like the ABC, who did a lovely hit piece on myself and Stephen and Alex Nicol. So, you know, this is where we just got to go. We are standing united, and I'm looking forward to Saturday. I know that there are many groups around Australia that will be coming on board with this, that will be sending this to, and inviting them to join, just to take part in watching it and seeing that there is this beautiful coming together, that in unity, in strength, and people that are very wise, that have solid foundations in science, in ecological literacy, and people with life experience coming together and saying, we will not allow this to happen.
That's it, and that's the message we want to get out. It's a unified approach that we're not actually anti anything. You know, that they want to make us all anti. No one's anti bit of development. No one's anti anything in the real world of the 90% that are out there. But they don't have the knowledge, as in the shared knowledge through media or whatever, of what is really happening. And that's until it happens in their backyard, they don't know what's going on. And that's where we get the NIMBY approach, which upsets everyone. And we've also got Craig Garland speaking on Saturday. He's an independent state parliament member here in Tasmania. He got elected last March at the elections. And he's a very passionate person on the salmon farms, but he also very knowledgeable on the wind farms as well. And we're hoping to get, tomorrow morning, I'm sending invites out to the Premier, the Minister for Planning, and the Minister for Energy. And the Minister for Energy, in an answer to Craig in Parliament, said, well, if the people of Braddon come out en masse, he will come and talk to us. Well, whether we can get the people out en masse, but we can unite various states into this, hopefully, and to maybe the next time to have real numbers, you know. But what we're going to enjoy, meeting the spirit of Tasmania, coming into the Mersey on Saturday morning around 8 o'clock, and then we walk down to opposite where it bursts, and the speakers will start at 10. And we've got music and we've got the arts coming in, and it'll be a fun day.
Sounds fantastic. I can't wait. Thank you. Thank you very much, Cush. I feel humbled to be asked to speak, and I know that our own community here at Save Our Beloved Geograph Bay, as well as No Wind Turbines at Scott River, Keep Kalbarri Beautiful, Save Rural WA, we oppose the Southern Marine Park. There's so many communities that are all eyes on this, and that's because more and more we're just uniting and seeing that we have more in common than we have in difference, and all we want is to leave this beautiful nation as beautiful and pristine, or even better than it is now, for our children, our great-grandchildren.
Yeah, that'd be great. It is, and that doesn't stop. You can still have development and do that as well. You know, that's what they're not understanding. They don't want to critical think it. You know, cost versus benefit. And that's sort of the precautionary principle the other way to look at that is cost versus benefit. You know, we trash what Tasmania's got. You know, it's a amazing place. Everyone in the world knows how amazing it is, and all we're going to do is just bulldoze the bush now to put renewables up. It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't, and we need to make sure that people are aware of what's going on, just like Stephen and so many other people that are speaking out in Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, all across this beautiful nation. Thank you for joining me this evening, Cush. And I'm looking forward to Saturday, and I hope you have thousands of people turn out.
Yeah.
We will be going live, and we will have our own community here. It'll start pretty early in WA time, 6 a.m., but we will be live by 8 a.m. and we'll be kicking off here in Busselton, and there'll be people connecting all across Australia. I wish you all the best. I look forward to seeing your great face on Saturday, and I can't wait to hear all of these people that have so much wisdom and are so passionate about protecting Australia, and especially Tassie.
Thanks, Martine. Yeah, looking forward to it. Good on you.
Thanks. This has been Edge Radio Australia. This is Martini's Eco Bites. Thank you.